These ultra-short throw projectors seem to be a growing trend in the AV space. They're meant to be a big screen television alternative, but let's face it, projectors are known to be notoriously bad with any lights on. Well, today we're going to take a look at a solution that's simple to set up, will give you a huge viewing experience, and is also pretty inconspicuous when it's not in use. It's the Vividstorm ambient light rejecting screen. Now before we get this thing set up, if you're new to the channel, we discuss all things audio and video, new movies, new AV equipment. So if you're not a subscriber, then tap the subscribe button for new weekly videos. Okay, let's hook it up. Inside, we get a micro USB cable, some mounting hardware, a USB transmitter, an IR remote, an RF remote, some documentation, and a brush to clean the screen. This particular model is the 100-inch version that retails for $18.99 at the time of this video. They do come in a 92, 110, and 120-inch versions as well. The screen housing measures 6.2 inches wide by 4.4 inches high by 5.3 inches deep. I don't know the exact weight, but it's not exactly too heavy to move around by yourself. Now what makes this screen so special and so easy to set up is that you don't have to actually mount it anywhere. It's an electric screen, but you don't have to mount it on the ceiling. This one raises up from the floor. All you've got to do is place it on a flat surface, like your floor, plug it in, hit the power switch, and hit the up button on the remote. If we take a look at the back, you'll see how the hinge mechanism works to raise the screen. It takes about 20 seconds or so to fully raise and lower. It does make some noise, but it's not annoyingly loud. As mentioned before, this comes with a USB transmitter. If your projector has a USB port, you can plug the transmitter in it and it'll trigger the screen to raise the projector when it's turned on. So that's a pretty cool feature. On the left side of the housing, you'll find the button to manually raise or lower the screen, the IR sensor, the main power switch, and the power cable input. On the front left corner are adjustments to lock the screen at a specified height. So this is what they call an ALR screen, or an ambient light rejecting screen. Unlike this drop-down ALR screen, which reflects the projected image from above and back to your eyes, this screen does the reverse. It takes the projector's image from the bottom and reflects it back at you using optical serrated structures on the screen surface. The structures are angled in a specific way that'll reflect the projector's light towards the viewer. It also absorbs and reflects ambient light from above or from the sides away from the viewer. The screen's also got a 0.6 gain, which will enhance black levels, and it's got a 170-degree viewing area, so if you're sitting off-center, you'll still get a bright, punchy image. For testing purposes, I've been using this with an LG HU85 placed on some furniture. If you wanted to keep the screen on the floor, you totally could, but do you really want to keep a projector that cost a few grand within kicking distance? So I placed it up here. As you can see, the screen and the projector only takes up about 17.5 inches of depth. This will depend on your projector's throw distance as well. Unfortunately, the screen is wider than the stand, but it's still functional. Now the television I have hanging up is a 75-inch Sony, and for all those folks that are confused and think 100 inches isn't that much bigger than a 75-inch, it literally dwarfs it. That's one of the great things about these new UST projector setups. For a lot cheaper than a 100-inch television set, you can get a setup like this. And with the lights on and lights shining through the window, you're still getting a bright image with great color and very good contrast. As for handling the LG's 4K resolution, up close, the image is extremely sharp and not soft or diffuse. There's also no visible screen texture. Now to be fair, as with any projector, the best image will come when all the lights are off. So despite being an ambient light rejecting screen, it doesn't reject 100% of the light. Therefore, color and contrast will be less than perfect and slightly washed out. Black will be more gray than black, but there's still enough contrast to where it isn't a muddy mess. Now when the lights are off, this screen will make the projector seem like it's a large LED television. It does have a 0.6 gain, so it will help to enhance black levels, giving the image added depth and dimension. While watching HDR material, I found the screen was able to handle bright peak highlights amazingly well. The whites aren't as crisp as the all-white screen that I have in my dedicated theater, but I still found it bright enough to make you squint with movies that have bright luminous highlights. And one more thing I'd like to point out. If you're not a fan of those black letterbox bars, you can at least get rid of the top bar. Just tap on the down button and drop the screen a little till the black bar is gone. Now instead of 2 black bars, you just have one big black bar at the bottom. Okay, I do have a couple nitpicks with this screen. First off, if you take a look at the drop-down screen's edge, you can see there's a black border that goes all the way around the screen material. On the Vividstorm, there is no black border, and the screen material goes all the way to the edge, and it actually has a slight curve outwards. Now, if you're a perfectionist and want to get the image perfectly lined up to the edge, the image is going to be soft and it'll spill off to the back walls. So you're going to have to be sure you leave a little space at the edge of the screen. One other thing that I'm not so sure is possible, but if it is, I'd like to see an acoustically transparent masking area here at the bottom. This way you can have a soundbar or a center channel behind it rather than having to place it below the projector. This is going to make having a real home theater setup more viable. Other than those 2 little things, I really didn't have any other issues. So in conclusion, I think the performance that you get from this screen will be highly dependent on your projector. If you've got a 4K ultra short throw that can provide a uniformly sharp image, has enough lumens, and has great color, I think you'll find the Vividstorm can display everything back at your eyes with fantastic results, whether the lights are on, or even better, when the lights are off. The image was bright and vibrant, whether I was sitting in the center or off to the sides, and I found 4K HDR material to be just as good as many LED television sets, and a lot of the times much better. And don't forget about the immersive factor. Watching a movie on a 100-inch screen is a lot more engaging than a little 75-incher. Well guys, that's all I've got. If you're interested in grabbing the Vividstorm, I'll leave some links for it in the video's description. Let us know your thoughts on these floor-raising screens. Have you seen them, and how do you think they perform? Leave us a comment down below. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video if you found it useful, and if you're not a subscriber, then tap the subscribe button. And we'll see you guys again in the next one.